Gate 50 in the second line is called determination. The second line doesn't know that it has to take responsibility for anything. The awareness of that is hidden from it. They'll take care of their own breath, but outside of that, nah, they're busy about their own lives. And these are people who are always being called on to be responsible for something. The first line is there figuring out the nature of responsibility, the nature of laws and values. It's the line of introspection. What's the right kind of law? What do I have to look after? What do we need to be responsible for? That's what it's saying. But it's rarely putting that into practice unless it meets the other. But in going through that process, it expands its consciousness. The second line is just busy about its own busyness, full stop. In the exaltation, the strength of purpose that can enjoy overcoming adversity to achieve its goals. The strength derived from maintaining one's values in the face of opposition and conditioning. If you have this line, you will meet opposition. Now, it tells you that no matter what your values are, there will always be adversity, and you will need some determination to hold fast to whatever your values are. This is the projecting out of a value that immediately creates confrontation with the other. It will always provoke that. It will always bring that frequency out. Ra said it can be almost impossible to get a 50 line 2 and call them out because they really don't want to hear about it. These are people who are going to be very reluctant to take responsibility. They're going to say to you, just look after yourself. I'm looking after myself. Why can't you look after yourself? In the detriment, a discomfort with adversity that may lead to determined withdrawal, a lack of strength where values are threatened by opposition or conditioning. If you have the 50th gate, you automatically have a value system within you. You automatically have your own law structure. When you get to the second line, you know these are going to be people who've got their own value system and their own laws, and they don't want to hear your stuff, and they don't want to be responsible for you following their value system. And that's it. And because they don't know the other, their particular values may be automatically attacked by the other as being invalid. The thing to see here in this second line is that what you have is resistance to transpersonalizing values, because it's not a transpersonal line. They get called out, and of course when the detriment gets called out and realizes that, hey, this isn't going to work, then they just refuse to be called out again. These are people that are real hermits. They will live as isolated as they can from determining value systems or from where people can control their values. The frequency of this second line is that of advance and withdrawal. On the emotional side, if we go over on that the solar plexus side, it's the wave of shyness and boldness that comes out of the 59. This is about projecting a field out of which it always brings some kind of reaction. These are values that do not have a real foundation. They are simply values that are being projected outwards. We had a classic example of that here in the UK with Brexit. A vote took place and there was a government that was very determined to remain within their own values and not going with what was voted for. And immediately there was opposition and adversity. Two things are going to happen in this scenario. Either you are bold and you try to push through the adversity, or you withdraw and become very bitter. All second lines can ring with bitterness. And it's not their fault, it's part of the mechanic. They are here to project out. And the moment they project out, somebody smacks them down for it. And that immediately then brings out more adversity. The nature of the determination in the second line is both to project your value out and to be able to handle the adversity, and at the same time to project it out and then withdraw from the adversity. Both sides. These are all unstable laws and values. What is remarkable about these gate 50 line 2s is their determination. The grounding coming through gate 3 in line 2 is called immaturity. This is the grounding. The hexagram is about acceptance that the mutation will finally find its own order, and in that moment it can be grasped and lived with. The second line doesn't want to have anything to do with anything very much. It just wants to be left alone. There's an immaturity here that doesn't want to take responsibility. It's not interested in sharing its values with anybody else. It might be called out, but then will become adversarial and withdraw. It might not sound like much of a grounding, but there's the genetic continuity within all of the second lines. So the mechanic is supporting this. So the moon is still in gate 16, the gate of skills and experience in the throat center. It's part of logical circuitry and the stream of taste. What you master is a matter of your own taste, for your own taste. And then you can share that with the collective or not. Gate 35 at 1556, another throat gate center, of course. That's right, isn't it? Throat gate, throat center gate, throat center gate. I knew that didn't sound right. It's a throat center gate, and it's the mirror to the 16. It's in abstract collective circuitry, and it's bringing us a channel with Neptune. Neptune being in gate 36 in the solar plexus. So these two gates, we have the gate of change and progress with the 35 and the gate of crisis in the 36. They together make a channel called the Jack of all trades. It's a design of transitoriness. This is part of the human experiential way. It's an emotional manifestor channel, and that indicates there may be feelings of anger that could arise when there's a sense of boredom or of waiting for a new experience. The restlessness in this channel can feel, I don't know, and it can lead to people who have this leaping into a new experience without waiting out their wave, without knowing whether that experience is correct for them, without informing anybody of what it is that they're doing. And if you have an open splenic center, then take care during this transit. Don't go jumping into anything new because you're not designed to be spontaneous. And the moon moves into gate 45 at 1:25 tomorrow morning. This is the gate of the gatherer. This is the top of the tribal tree, the ruler, the only throat gate in tribal circuitry. There can be a possessiveness about the voice here. It is an I have kind of expression. It's again part of a manifestor channel. So we have the three manifestor channels going from the throat, one to the ego, which is this 45, and then the other two are the 35 that we looked at earlier, and then the 12 that comes tomorrow. And all three of these are leading down to motors, so they're all manifestor channels. Yeah, so it can carry an impact, this gate 45, because it has that manifesting capacity, and it can feel a deep peace when it is in its process. If this gate is not consistently activated in your design, or the moon's transit brings you a channel with the 21, be careful about initiating when this transit is passing through. Might get you into all kinds of trouble, unless you are a manifestor, in which case, go ahead. Like you need my permission. Please ignore that I said that. Yes, that's it. We're into a third line day. I think I'm in a third line day already. And I will see you tomorrow. And until then, as always, love yourself deeply, wildly, and passionately, and go gently.